Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the March 2nd Inside the Zone. I'm Randy Spieth, filling in for Glenn Marini.
Yeah, Glenn got younger and better looking, and he lost weight all at the same time.
I'm sure he will definitely enjoy that. I think he's doing a little bit of vacation, trying to get a little break from the Komets season. But Blake Sebring, the beat writer out at the News-Sentinel, definitely having a busy day, doing this a little bit later than normal because breaking news with the Komets roster today.
Yeah, the Komets have signed, or are in the process of signing, center Aaron Clark, who played with the Komets the final 15 games last year, and then he played in the playoffs, and then he retired. And he wants to come back, and they need him to come back. So he's going to sign his contract on Tuesday morning and hopefully be at practice Tuesday. And then they're going to put him on reserve for a while to give him a chance to get his legs going again and get into better shape. And he'll probably play in a couple weeks.
Why did the team need to bring him in? We've had a couple injuries, but why bring him in now?
Well, I think it's insurance for two things. Paul Crowder's ankle, they don't know when he's going to be ready to go, and they're kind of hoping, and this gives them a great veteran presence as an option there. And it also, you don't know if Eric Fye is coming back yet from Texas. Texas looks like it's going to make the playoffs in the American Hockey League. Fye's been playing well. He's been moving up their depth chart a little bit. He's been getting more ice time. And then you bring in Aaron Clark, and he fits in perfectly between Sidlowski and Mbach, if that's where you choose to put him. You know what you're going to get from him, and he knows what he's getting here. And it's like he doesn't have to adjust in or feel his way through. He can just start playing, and it's a perfect pickup for that. And another thing is he's 32. He's not going to get called up either at the last second.
Why, if he was looking at retirement, why come back? I mean, is it just he knows the system, or will he actually make a big difference this last 18 games?
Oh, he'll make a big difference. He retired because he wanted to stay home with his family. He's got a young son, and his wife is a teacher. She has a great job in Canada, so they stayed there. And he knew last year that was going to happen. But then, he started missing it so much, and he had some work obligations that it finished up at the end of February. And, the Frankies, they never close a door, it seems like. So he and Dave Franke, the general manager, kept in contact. And Aaron contacted them mid-February and says, you said the door is open. You were interested? And I think another thing that's really key about this is you keep Aaron away from Kalamazoo and Toledo potential playoff matchups, because he's killed the Komets when he played for them in the past, too. So that's another huge factor. It's just like a fringe benefit to that as well.
Do you think, you said he'd be on the reserves for a little bit, but do you think we'll see him on the ice with Kalamazoo this weekend? Or
no, I don't
later?
think he'll play this weekend. I think he'll end up probably playing in maybe 2 weeks, but they're not going to rush it. They have enough centers right now. They'll let him ease into it. Because the last thing you want to do is see him come up with a pulled groin or something like that puts him out for a month. So you're going to ease him into it.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people want to see him, as a familiar face back on the team. We are talking about a little bit about last week in the Komets playing 130 minutes, had to play some extra time, falling both to the Indy Fuel twice this past week in 1-goal games. First loss of the year, too, for the Komets. You were out there for both contests. What did you kind of see in those close contested games?
I saw two different games. That was what was interesting about it is it was two different games. The first game, I felt like Indy was the hungrier team, even though the Komets outshot them by a lot. I felt like Indy deserved what they got. They were the hungrier team. The Komets, I saw a lot of guys skating beside the net and then stopping behind the net on rushes and stuff instead of going to the front of the net and taking a hit and making a play. Saturday night, I saw the Komets reverse that. They really went hard to the net, and the goalie played great. Matt Carruth played great. The Komets probably wish there was a couple of goals against that they had back. Again, they've had a problem lately of too many stupid penalties, really undisciplined, unforced errors that they've got to really clamp down on. They're giving up too many power play chances. Even though they only gave up 3 Saturday night, Indy scored twice, and that was the game.
Yeah, I know they gave up 3 power play goals over the weekend. That's always going to be detrimental, especially come postseason, next month. A lot of these games were recently just 1-goal contests, 4-0-2 in the last 6. That's what it's going to be like in the playoff game, 2-1 games, 3-2 games. Is this going to help in the long run, you think?
Not necessarily, and I'll tell you why. It gets the guys who are going to be playing in the playoffs in that mindset, but a lot of these guys, they're fighting for spots to see if they can make that playoff roster, and they may not if the Komets get everybody back from injuries and call-ups and all that. So it's kind of iffy that way.
Gotcha. All right, so this is the last full month of the regular season.
Hallelujah.
The
It's
Komets,
only long enough.
Yeah, exactly. The Komets still in first place in the East. They continue to have played more games. You know, they have a 5-point lead now over Toledo. How do you see this all playing out? Because eventually the Walleye are going to get those 3 extra games in. Do you think that's going to actually hurt the Komets down this last stretch?
Well, the Walleye lost yesterday to Kalamazoo. I mean, that would have, at home, that would have been a game you would have thought, oh, wow, that's one they're going to pick up. And they didn't. You know, you would have thought Friday and Saturday, the Komets playing at home against a team that was out of the playoff race at that time, out of the playoff picture, that would have worked for them. So, you know what? It can go either way. Another factor is Indy's got to play 3 more games in the final month. That's a lot of extra games. You never know what's going to happen. Is somebody going to get hurt? Are they just going to get burned out? You know, who's going to get called up? You'd rather have the points that you have, that you've already earned, I think, in this league, versus maybe chasing from behind.
Yeah, I mean, the Walleye and the Komets only have 1 more game against
Isn't
each
that
other.
ridiculous?
Yeah, so I mean, it'll have to be someone else. And at the same time, I mean, I know the Komets are at least getting a point every time, but this homestand, probably not the best results. I mean,
you know what? I agree and I disagree, but they had 7 games, and they might go undefeated in those 7 games if they win Friday night.
They continue to play better on the road, though. I mean,
Right, which is a sign of a great team, too. But you know what? I mean, I don't worry about it. I mean, I guess the points that they lost to Indianapolis didn't hurt them. So, they're still healthy. They're still playing okay. I mean, obviously they want to play better than they have been. They like to win those games. They want to put them away, especially if you think Indy might be a first-round playoff opponent. But, you know, I don't feel like those games really hurt them.
7 wins in February. Now that we're here in March, just what do you think the team took away from that? Those 12 games.
Well, there was a lot of good road trips in that streak. They went to Florida. I believe they went to South Carolina during February, and I know they went to Florida. I mean, those were 3 good games. And I look at all the call-ups and all the injuries. I think if you look at it logically, which I know most fans don't, I think you got to be pretty happy with the way they're still in first place. They've still got a 5-point lead. Toledo has the games in hand, but they still have to play Toledo at home. If they win that game in regulation, then Toledo's way back, 7 points, and that's a lot to make up. I don't care how many games in hand you have. That's a lot to make up. And the Komets have reasserted themselves at the top of the Eastern Conference right now. Them and Reading. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But Reading plays a much easier schedule from here on out. And they're still within sights of Allen for the overall league lead. So, I mean, considering all the injuries and all the call-ups, it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. It's better than it sure could have been.
That's right. Well, thank you for that breaking news, Blake, on Aaron Clark. I'm sure we'll be talking to the team about that. That's Blake. I'm Randy. For better or worse, Glenn is back here for the March 9th of Inside the Zone.
He's fitting in already.
Komets with 2 more games this week and a home-and-home with Kalamazoo. That does it for this week's Inside the Zone.